Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Live Feed with your host, Richard Santiago. Live Feed is brought to you by Traveling Tech Teacher. For all your digital resources, check out travelingtechteacher.com. Also brought to you by thebullyexposed.com. 501c3 nonprofit organization geared at helping survivors of bullying. So, let them help you. Today, my guest is Richard Santiago. I know you're getting all weirded out, right? How can Richard Santiago be the guest host and the host? Well, we're going to tell you. So let's bring in our guest host. And while I'm doing that, I want to remind you guys that the 19th, 19th of this month, we will be having a benefit to benefit the Bully Exposed, where Christina Wells and from America's Got Talent and Mr. Mr. Powell, Mr. Vince Powell from American Idol will be going head to head in a Versa. You don't want to miss that, guys. It's going to be amazing. Don't miss out on it. Be part of it. So while we wait for our guest to come on, let me also tell you that Christina Wells is having a virtual concert. Get your tickets at live.christinawells.com. This benefit, or this, not benefit, but this event is going to be on the 11th of October at 7:30 Central Standard Time. And again, get your tickets at live.christinawells.com. An amazing singer. Both these singers are amazing. Wait till you see the Versa. That's it's definitely going to be amazing because both these singers are amazing. Let's see. So we might be having trouble again with him coming in. Let's see. Sometimes, recently, sometimes some guest hosts have been having trouble getting onto the show. Let me reach out to him. Oh, there he is. Okay, just about to reach out to him. Hello. All right, so let's bring him in live. I feel like I'm interviewing myself here, guys. It's kind of weird. It's like this, like if we touch each other, would it ruin the space continuum? Mr. Santiago, how are you doing?
Mr. Santiago, how are you doing?
Oh, don't do that. That's weird. That's too weird.
Isn't it strange though?
Yes, it's amazing how many Richard Santiagos, not just Santiagos, Richard Santiagos are out there. You know, real quick before we get into the interview, I live on the island of Guam. And as you know, just like Puerto Rico, the island of Guam was once occupied by the Spanish. So there are a lot of Santiagos here as well. I've met some people that are named Santiago here as well. So that's very interesting. So, all right. So well, first of all, let me tell people who you are first. Let me read this beautiful thing here. Richard Santiago, or known as Tiago, is a renowned Puerto Rican artist who earned a BA in Fine Arts from Matis College in New York, my hometown, and a Master of Fine Arts in Hofburg School of Painting, where at the Maryland Institute College of Arts in Baltimore, under the tutelage of Grace Hardin and Sam Gillingham, which
Yes.
Unfortunately I looked up. Miss Hologram is no longer with us. Hardin, unfortunately. Yeah. What kind of impact let's start with them. What kind of impact did these two artists have on you as an artist?
Well, let's start with Grace. Well, first of all, before we start talking about the impact they had on me, I want to thank you for reaching out, man, because this is crazy. This is like, how can I say, it's a beautiful thing because we're halfway across the world. We have the same name, and we're involved in the same process of communicating, you know. And I think at the end of the day, I've been looking at some of the stuff that you've been talking about in your programs, and it's all about love. You know, at the end of the day, it's about love and about human connection. So I feel very connected to that, not only because we share the same name, but also because it's about love. Okay, so talking about love, I would have to talk about Grace Hardigan first. And I mean, if you looked her up, you realize that
Yeah.
she is very, very important artist for the United States. You know, she was a second school abstract expressionist from New York, coming from Ireland, and uh, and you know what? The impact that she had on me, more than as an artist, it was as a mentor. We became very good friends, and she actually was my confidant. You know, I think after the Art Institute of Maryland, the Maryland Institute College of Art, which is the oldest art school in the United States, when they founded that
Wow.
master's program, they founded it around her because she left New York and she didn't want to do anything in New York anymore with that whole movement, you know, with Jackson Pollock, de Kooning, that whole movement. She was trying to get away in the sense that she was trying to save herself too, because there was a lot of energy going. And when there's a lot of energy, sometimes, you know, things get lost along the way. So she went to Baltimore. They did this whole program of masters in painting where when I came in, there was thousands of people who applied and only 6 people get in. So it's very competitive. But her whole idea of
Wow.
that program was to create what she lived in the 40s and 50s in New York, in the whole revolutionary movement of abstract expressionism. And she wanted to recreate that whole energy of young artists creating, defending their art, their proposals, their manifestos in painting, in the same sense that she had to do in the 40s and 50s. So
Hmm.
throughout the whole process, I'll tell you a very short story. The first crit that she gave me in my studio, she came in, she looked at my first piece that I was doing, a big painting, and she said, I'm going to ask you to grab a rag, put some thinner on it, wipe everything off, and begin again. And she left. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. I don't, you know, mind blowing. And of course, I didn't do that. I challenged her in that sense. I never met with her in the rest of the semester. I like went around the whole idea of even seeing her or meeting with any of the artists in residence. And I finished my painting the way I had started it and the way I envisioned it. And when she came in at the end of the semester, she said to me, you know what, Richard, 6 of you came in as the first year graduate students. I said the same thing to all 6 of you, and you were the only one who didn't listen to me and continued to do what you felt you had to do. All I can offer you now is a safe environment for you to create and keep on building on that. And that right there, we became friends, and she respected me forever. So in that sense, you know, she became a mentor, and I got to tell you, I won an award at the end of the 2 years. And it's funny that you asked me because I'm just putting this up, and I'm going to show you something. This is. Let me see if you can read. Can you read this over there?
No, no, maybe
Okay.
you could.
Okay, so this is a piece of her. This is a work of art that she did, and
Oh,
she
okay.
gave me this piece, and it says, "For Richard Santiago, with all my love and faith, grace." Now this is a gift from her
Wow.
when I graduated. So how did she impact me? I'm beginning to realize her impact now, which is
Right.
probably almost 25 years later.
Wow.
She mentored me the right way, man. She was cool. She was down, man. New Yorker. When you're you
Right.
know
Right.
it.
Right.
And
Wow. What about Sam?
Sam Gilliam was awesome also. It's just that Grace was, woman power, man. She gave me that
Right.
feminine side. No holds barred.
Right. Wow. So, okay. So you mentioned earlier, that we had the same love for art, that we had the same name. I'm curious as to what else we have in common. So we're both Puerto Ricans. Am I correct about that? I
Are you
find
are you
that
Puerto-
very,
are you
very.
Puerto Rican background?
Yes, yes. My parents, my dad was born in San Germán, and my mother was born
Oh,
in Mayagüez, and they both met in New
beautiful.
York when they were 10 years old.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful, man. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Mayagüez is
That's
beautiful, and San
that's one
Germán
thing.
is amazing.
I have not seen Mayagüez. I've only been to Puerto Rico twice,
Okay.
but I've spent lots of time in my father's side of San Germán. Yes.
Well, I would like to
So,
send you an invitation. I would love to host you if you come here. Uh, you can definitely stay with me, and I'll drive you around, and we
oh
have a
wow,
good time.
thank you. What city are you in Puerto Rico?
Well, listen, I'm from Bayamon, which is in the
Okay,
northern east side of the island, and it's very
northern
close
east.
to the capital, San Juan. But
Right, San Juan.
Bayamon is the capital of the world because I'm from here. And I'm teasing. I'm teasing. The thing with Bayamon is it's very how do you say this? They 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 have been very visionary in the sense of the arts. So they have bet on art to be able to transform their, how do you say this? Whenever the town has been in a slump, I think through art they've been able to, take it to the next level, opposed to all the other municipalities. So I'm from Bayamon.
Okay.
Right now, I was awarded an artist residency here in Bayamon, and I will be here for the next minimum 3 years. It could head to more years, but please, anybody that's listening, everywhere that you're listening from, head to Bayamon es Arte in Instagram, and you'll see all the projects that they've been doing for a few years. And I'm just beginning here. I was displaced because of the Hurricane Maria. My family and I were
Okay.
displaced. We were in Chicago for a little bit, trying to do some fundraisings to try to help some artist friends for a little bit. Then I was awarded an artist residency in West Palm Beach, and that was too close to Trump. So I didn't like that. I thought it was good that it was closer to
Right.
Puerto Rico than Chicago, and it was kind of like the same weather, but actually it was colder than Chicago because of all the white supremacy that's happening over there. And at the end of the day, yeah, that's some crazy stuff, some crazy stories. But at the end of the day, we finally made it back to Puerto Rico thanks to this project in Bayamon, and thanks to the mayor of Bayamon, who has been very responsive to the arts. So that's in a nutshell.
hmm I don't know if you can see on the screen. I love this piece by
That
you
piece.
of
Yeah, yeah.
Felix Tito Trinidad. I mean, beautiful, beautiful shot. And so what? Where can people see your art? I guess it's a good way. Where can people see your art?
Well, listen, I do have a .com. I have a page. It's called
Hmm
TiagoFineArts.com. They can go there. Obviously, here, through the Instagram is Richard Santiago Artista.
hmm
And Facebook is also Richard Santiago Artista. You can look it up. I go through Tiago, the name Tiago, because, Santiago is like a Christian sanctity type of thing, and I'm no saint. So I desanctified myself a while back. And I said, you know what? I'm no santo, man. So I'll be Tiago from now on. And I started signing my paintings Tiago, and that's why I'm known as Tiago. That's kind of like my pseudonym, but it's still my name.
Right.
But yeah, to see the work, I think you can go to the major social media, but I do have TiagoFineArts.com. You can go there and check it out and write me,
Okay.
and yeah, it's all good.
Okay. So someone there can definitely reach out to you if they wanted to
Yeah.
get you to create something for them.
No, I don't. I don't. I do oil paintings, man, and it takes me 3 to 6 months to make a painting. So I don't. I
Oh
tend
wow.
not to do petitions like that.
Okay.
I am very focused on painting what I feel that I have to say. I believe that an artist works out of the necessity to say something. I have a lot to say.
Right.
So I'm not that type of artist that you can. I mean, if you commission me, you're gonna have to come with a good pocket so I can consider it. But
Right.
at the end of the
Right.
day, it's about saying what I feel I need to say, and I think what I need to say, it's also connected to a lot of the human issues that have been going on. Like, I think another connection I have with you is the idea of the stop bullying. I've been reading up a little bit about what you've been doing and what you've gone through, and I gotta tell you something also. At some point, I didn't want to paint anymore. I wanted to stop painting because I thought it was a profession that was very pretentious in the sense of just the idea of people going to a museum and like holding up their shin and looking up. I thought it was too bourgeois. And I was like, I'm coming from down there, and all of a sudden I'm dealing with these people who have so much money, so I didn't connect in that sense. But at the end of the day, that's the best way that I think I can express myself. So I think I was letting stuff outside dictate too much of what I needed to do, regardless of what happens outside of me. So, but during the time that I stopped painting, I started doing documentaries. And I actually got another master's of script writing from Sacred Heart University here in Puerto Rico. And I started doing a documentary on boxing, on the history of boxing in Puerto Rico.
Oh,
And I didn't.
I love boxing.
Yeah, so this is where the whole thing about Tito. See, if you're Puerto Rican or Puerto Rican background or Puerto Rican anything, boxing is part of your blood. You know that. And I
Right.
think sports is the one thing, being a colony. I mean, when you wrote to me, you talked about Commonwealth. I just say it straight up. It's a colony. In the 2020, the 2020, we're still talking about colony and empire and all that, and it's crazy. Third class citizens,
Yeah.
we don't vote for the president, but he decides what happens here. We don't vote for the
Right.
president, but he sends us to war. So in that sense, coming from Puerto Rico, sports is a very important thing because we have also, apart from anything, we have autonomy in the sports sense. So when we go to the Olympics, we don't represent the United States, we represent Puerto Rico. When Tito Trinidad wins a championship, he represents Puerto Rico. He's a Puerto Rican fighter. So it's very
Right.
interesting how sports navigates that middle ground in the political environment, where we're
That is
part of the
true.
U.S., but we are still have representation in sports through as a nation. So
Right.
Tito Trinidad for us is Superman. I mean, anywhere he could go to an NBA game tomorrow, and they will stop the NBA game at some point and acknowledge his presence. And it's
Right.
because he's a beautiful person, and he was an amazing athlete, and he represented everything that we stand for as a nation, and as fighters, as survivors of a
Right.
system. So at the end of the day, and as a black Caribbean man,
Right.
so there's so many things around that. So when I was doing that documentary, I didn't just want it to be a informational documentary. I started following the careers, and I started documenting the lives and careers of two young boxers in their urge to become world champions, because that would be their ticket out of their
Right.
of the ghetto, or whatever you want to name it,
Yeah. Right.
and their way out.
Mm-hmm.
And so then
Right.
I got involved in the whole idea of the gym being like a temple for these almost monk-like young men who sacrifice their body, their philosophy, their nutrition, all for one goal, even sex. Even like their sexual thing, they sacrifice it just to be somebody, to be recognized.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was so parallel to the idea of Puerto Rico wanting and urging the idea of being somebody in the world, being a country in the world. So I thought
Right.
I found this whole parallel idea about that, and I started following these two young men. And at the end of the day, we took that documentary in the developing stage to Cannes Film Festival years back. But the film commission here in Puerto Rico is tied up to the government. So whenever a party loses, like one mentality loses, then the other one shuts down any project that the other party was doing. And that's what happened to my project. So at the end of the day, I
Oh
just kind of,
man.
I just want to go back to painting. I was, having my first baby, and the only thing that really gave me money in the world was painting. So I had to make a conscious, decision of what I was going to do for the following years and how I was going to feed my child. So I began painting again and developing other projects, and just pretty much again in a nutshell.
Can anyone see that
I have a
film you
reel. I
did?
have a
Is
reel.
it
Yeah, I have a reel that I can send. I'll send you the reel. It's called En la Esquina,
okay?
and I think there's a
In la
Vimeo
esquina, okay.
channel. Yeah, like Cornered. We named it in English. We named it
Right,
Cornered.
corner.
Yeah, and so I can send you like a little 2 minute reel. And the funny thing is, Juanma Lopez, I don't know if you've heard of him in boxing, but Juanma became two weight division world champion, and he was one of the young kids that I was following. And at some point, the other kid that I was following, they were going to face each other. But I wasn't able to film the whole process because again, it was shut down. I didn't have, I had already spent like $150,000. I needed at least
Wow.
another 150, and it's one of those things, man.
Wow.
I'll
Wow.
send it.
If you're
I'll send
just
you. I'll
joining
send
us,
you
we're
the
talking to
reel
Richard
though.
Santiago. Okay. If you're just joining us, we're talking to Richard Santiago, artist, and now I learned filmmaker. Awesome. So we do have a lot in common.
We do.
So let me ask you this. Let's turn more towards this. So I can remember when I was a kid, growing up with the name Richard Santiago and being told that my name wasn't Spanish enough because it's not Ricardo Santiago,
Right.
So I'm wondering, what are your thoughts? Have you ever experienced that?
Of course. Actually, I've experienced it in different levels. I'm a part of the pro-independence movement here in Puerto Rico, and I'm very much leaning towards the left in many thoughts. So many of the peers and my compañeros, in the struggle, let's say, sometimes they get so radical that they can't even say Richard. So they would call me Ricardo. And then I
Hmm.
decided not to
Uh-huh.
respond because, hey, my mother named me Richard. She loved, what was the actor? Let me think. I think it was Richard, oh my God, I don't remember who was the actor that she really enjoyed. But there's a whole
Uh-huh.
thing about Hollywood, and she loved this actor and whatever, and so it was Richard. Plus, I come from a family who was then pro statehood. They wanted Puerto Rico to be a state, so it was like let's name him Richard. So it's one of those things that I've had issues. Yeah, in many levels. Even when I was doing my master's, I took a performing class with an African American woman, and she decided that she was going to change the pronunciation of my name, and it was going to be Rishad, because Rishad was more in tune with the African lex. I don't know, man. Whatever reason. So I wasn't
Uh-huh.
having it either. I was like, dude, I'm Richard, man. So whatever, man. I've had it from the right, from the left, from the center, from up, from down. And at the end of the day, whatever, as long if you're gonna say Richard, is it Richard? It's not Ricardo. I would probably respond to Ricardo if it's someone who's senile and can't say Richard. I'll be like, okay, I'll be Ricardo. Whatever, man. It's all good. But at the end of the day, I'm honoring my mother. That's what she wanted, and I'm cool with that. So I have Tiago, I have Santiago, I have Richard Santiago, I have Tiago Richard Santiago.
Right.
Either one of those, I'm cool.
Awesome. So, so how long have you been an artist? How long has it been from school all the way to current?
Okay, so I graduated from my bachelor's degree in '93. I took a year off and I went to travel Latin America. I took a trip to Venezuela with a trip back from Mexico, and it took 3 months for me to walk all the way from Venezuela to Mexico. During those 3 months, I,
Wow.
became very engaged with a lot of communities along the way. And after I got back, I decided to do the work that I was going to submit for my master's. And then I went to my master's. I got accepted to Yale University. I got accepted to Maryland Institute College of Art at the Hofburger School of Painting. And I got accepted to the Art Institute of Chicago and a couple of other schools. But the one that I really connected to was, again, Grace Hardigan at the Maryland Institute College of Art. It was less academic and more on the studio level. So that's pretty much what I needed. I was the youngest student to ever graduate from that school. So at that point, I don't know from then on, but at that point I was. And at the end of the day, I would say that that has nothing to do with the idea of me being considered an artist or not. I think I became an artist when I ran my first marathon, not marathon, but at least a 5K when I was really young. I started running. I think sports is and running specifically is the best form of expressing or using your body to express yourself. So I started running from very young age, and I think at the age of 9, I ran my first 5K, and I would say that that was the moment that I felt what I still feel when I finish a painting or when I do a sculpture, when I do whatever, any work of art. So running at the age
Mhm.
of 9, I think that that whole concept of I was expressing myself, I was using sports to channel stuff that I wanted to get away from and to use the negative stuff that was happening at home to get my body to the next level. I think that was the
Mhm.
first. So at the age of 9, so it doesn't even have to do with academics or anything that even has to do with learning to draw or learning to paint or learning. It was more about that moment when you realize you connected to something outside of yourself. So at the age of 9, I would say that was the moment, that I really realized that there was something different.
Wow. So, wow, that's very interesting that you say that running uh, is the I don't want I don't remember how you worded it exactly, but running is the way to express yourself more than dancing. I would think dancing is the way to really express
Well, I
yourself.
was I
You
was
think
9.
running?
I was 9, man.
Oh, okay,
So
okay,
I was a very, very
gotcha.
small kid. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even think of it as art until I went through the process. So I would say more the
Hmm.
the way to word it is it was the catalyst. It was that moment in time when I realized that something bigger than me helped me and carried me through a process, and it was through my body that I was able to express what I was feeling. I ended the race crying because I was going through some shit at home.
Right.
I'm sorry. I don't know if I can
Uh-huh.
say
Uh-huh.
a bad word. I'm sorry. So yeah, so, sorry about that. So and
No
then I
problem.
realized it was a way to save myself.
Hmm. Right, right. If you're just joining us, we're talking to artist Richard Santiago. If you have a question, please smash that question mark. And if you want to ask Mr. Santiago any questions, we do have one question from Tully, all the way from Australia. He says, What inspired you to be where you are today?
What inspired me to where I'm? Well, oh, interesting.
To be where,
What
to
inspired
be.
me to be where I'm at today? Well, there's many levels to answer that question, and I'm sorry. I gotta. Mira, si te lo quieres llevar, loco, dame un break. Me mete mano. Okay, so sorry, I apologize. So, what inspired me
No problem.
to be where I'm at today? I think it's a survival mode at the end of the day. I think when you,
Right.
like I said, the whole race running situation, you get. I think the best analogy about the running and about making a painting and about expressing yourself and about life, I connect everything. I think love, life, art is exactly the same thing. And what inspire it's not about an inspiration, it's more about a survival thing, honestly. Many people talk
Right.
about the muse, when people, oh, you must have felt the muse. Everybody feels the muse. Everybody has that connection at some point in time. You start reading a book or you start writing something and you get inspired, and that's fine. Everybody feels that. But how do you take that as a tool to actually help somebody else, or connect with somebody else and take it to the next level? So I'm, again, through sports, I'm a very competitive person, and the only competition in running as well as in art is with yourself. If you know you can be
Mhm.
better and you can improve your brushstroke, your colors, your theory, your whole fundamental, then what inspires me would be, I guess, just that the next painting is going to be better than the last one. So I think that's the biggest inspiration
Right.
that I can tell you.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I love that answer. So let's talk about bullying. What experiences do you have with bullying in Puerto Rico? Any?
In Puerto Rico, about bullying. Well, I think, okay, so my father was a very troubled person, okay? I was in 11 different schools before graduating from high school. So I was always a new kid, okay? How did I deal
Hmm.
with that? Was I was always the funny kid, okay? I was always the jokes on me kind of thing. And through sports, then there's a certain respect also. So between those two things, I don't feel that I was necessarily bullied or anything, other than I was, again, fluctuating between the lines of what their lives were, because I was always the new guy, so it was always their clique or their life or whatever. So I was always kind of like maintaining myself. My experience with that, though, is, um, I would have to say that it's becoming that now, because I have two kids of my own. Okay, so I have a 10-year
Hmm.
old and I have a 9-year old, and I've seen how bullying can affect. I've seen how even now with the whole social media, it can be so much even worse than when I was growing up. So I've been trying to prepare them in many senses, more on the psychological and emotional level, to be respectful to their body, to themselves, to others, and to be empathetic, and to have solidarity. So mainly, I think the whole bullying concept with me on the personal level, having always been the new kid in all these schools, was, I did try to defend as much as I could the one who was getting bullied. So I, in many senses,
Good for
befriended.
you.
Yeah, I befriended the one that was always getting bullied. And since there, you know how it goes sometimes with sports, the jog or whatever, there's certain respect. You know, I was never in one clique, one group of people. I was always kind of like fluctuating here and there. So there was some respect from here, from there, and I was able to use that to help the other. If there's one thing that I have to work on myself nowadays, I'm almost going to be 50 next year. So it's about, oh, there's a word. I'm sorry. Sometimes English escapes me, so I apologize.
No,
But
no problem.
it's about the self-esteem, because for all my
Hmm.
life, I've always put myself in the skin of the other, and that's a beautiful thing. I feel it's a beautiful thing, and I would love my children to do that. But at the same time, your self-esteem gets affected. So and it's not about the ego thing, but you do need to have a healthy self-esteem to be able to have not have certain things affect you, and be a stoppage for what you need to do in life. So in the whole thing about bullying, I was always the one to put myself in the other person's skin, try to provide some sense of safety net for the other. But at the same time, at this point, I'm dealing with that with my kids, and I don't want them to be the bully. That's the other thing that
Right.
sometimes parents are unaware about. So I have very beautiful from inside and from outside children who feel it's kind of crazy because my oldest one is the one who always wants to beat up the bully. So I've been telling, we're having this conversation. Yeah, he can't have it, man. And he's like the national champion here in Puerto Rico for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So he's got what he's got, and he's very assured of himself. But he hates, the whole concept of bullying. And so sometimes it really bothers him, and I don't know, man. It disconnects him. So I'm having that conversation. He's 10 years old. He's gonna be a preteen next year. So I'm having that conversation. So the whole idea of bullying, for me, is something that I've been fluctuating in between the lines, always trying to help out, and at the same time, I'm now in a new stage where I'm trying to have my children be a protective also, but also trying to protect them, and they're very aware about the idea of the whole concept of negativity of the whole bully concept. So I don't know. I'm sorry that it's such a long answer, but it's just you made me go
No.
back. I wasn't expecting the question, so you made me go back 40 years, 35 years, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. But I will tell you a story about bullying in West Palm Beach if you like to hear it. You let me know.
Yes.
You
Yes.
you want to hear it?
Yes.
So
I
here we
do.
are. We had just gotten to West Palm Beach, and we were there. We went to this beach, and obviously, we were in Chicago for almost a year, so let's go to the beach for the first time. And we got there, and it looked beautiful, like Ocean Park, like right in front of in Condado, in San Juan. And I'm like, oh my God! But the difference was that there was barely anybody there. Just one guy sitting like 100 meters away over there, and then a couple sitting 100 meters away over there. And so my kids automatically jump in the water and they're playing around, and I go in, and the whole thing is happening beautifully. And all of a sudden I look to the shore, and the guy that was sitting like 100 meters away over there is nearing us, and he's screaming at us something that I can't hear. Now this guy is like a buffed up, like 60-year-old guy, like buffed up, strong like this, and he's in a
Uh-huh.
bikini. Okay,
Oh,
whatever
that's
that means,
cute.
man.
I just got
So,
an image in my head I don't like.
man, like a little bit of hair in the back, bald, buffed up, strong like that. And the guy screaming like, the veins are like, oh, he's screaming at us, and I can't hear him. So immediately I'm like, oh gosh, I messed up. Probably you're not supposed to go in the water. There's some rule here that I don't know. So I'm trying to hear him out,
Right.
and I'm taking my children near him, and I hear him say, can I say a bad word?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, he said, you fucking uneducated Latinos, why are you all up on my face? And he's screaming this at us, and I have my children with me. And everything happened in my mind really fast. I went to all the viral videos that you hear, about racism and all
Yeah,
this.
the Karens.
I, you know what I thought? I said, oh my God, in all those videos, always the Latino person is trying to make sense with this idiot, right? And they're trying to actually talk English back to them. Like they're trying to have a conversation with a guy that's cussing them out, and they don't care. And they're calling them
Right.
names, and they're saying this. And I always said, if this happened to me, I know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to talk English. I'm just going to cuss him out in Spanish. And I just started screaming Spanish back to him. Mira, canto de cabrón, tú lo que eres un pendejo racista, canto de pendejo. And I kept on walking to him, and he keeps on backing up, screaming at me. And he starts saying, where you from? Where you from? And I started saying, where you from? You know? Because this is
Right.
Florida, not Florida,
That's right.
Florida.
That's right.
And the guy couldn't take it. And at the end of the day, the only thing in English I said to him was, you're a racist. And he said, yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. And I started cussing him in Spanish again. And he did the one thing that they always do. They had to leave. He couldn't take it.
Right.
And as he was so
Right.
that was like the bully thing. And obviously I had a conversation with my children. I said I apologized to them because they saw me in a violent
Right.
way, but I had to confront this, and they needed to know that this
Right.
has to be confronted. And they did. That guy did what all bullies do. They leave. You know,
Yep.
they just leave.
When you stand up to them. Yep.
That's right.
I
That's
agree.
right.
I agree with you on that 100%. That's for sure. So let me get to
Salud.
one more question from one of
Okay.
our followers.
Okay.
Um, let me give them a shout out too. The Artistic Advocate and Tully, they both asked, what pointers can you give to people who are just getting into art or want to
Okay.
express themselves through art?
Okay, so this is the one pointer that I give to everybody. I used to teach at the university level here in Puerto Rico, the School of Visual Arts, and this is the one thing that I said in the
Oh,
first
wow.
class, in the fundamentals of arts class, first day of school. Okay, I said this, and I'm gonna tell this is the answer. Okay, to that question. If you can live without doing this, without doing art, please do it. Please go do something else. If you cannot live without expressing yourself and doing this, then do everything you have to do to be able to do art. That's the only advice. Don't fool yourself when you are in your room by yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror, and if you can be happy and feel successful doing anything other than art, go ahead and do it. Make the money you want. Be successful or whatever you want to be,
Right.
because this is not easy. I love the movie Pink Floyd The Wall because they refer to the artist as the bleeding heart. You know why? Because the artist puts his heart out there, and it's gonna get hurt, man. Everybody, the cynics, everybody's gonna take a crack at it, and if you're not ready for that, you're gonna be you're gonna be traumatized. So if you can do
Right.
anything to protect that heart, and you can be happy, and you can be happy for the rest of your life without putting your heart out there, then do it. But if you cannot, if looking at yourself in the mirror at night, you cannot do anything other than express yourself and be an artist, then do everything to be able to be an artist.
Right. Wow, that's great advice. Well, like I said, I want to thank you for coming on the show. There are a lot of Richard Santiagos when you just type in Richard Santiago, and out of all of them that we tried to connect with, you were the only one that responded back. We also reached out to, and we're wondering if you've heard of him. We also reached out to a boxer
Yeah.
named Richard Santiago. There's a
Yes.
boxer,
Yes.
and we understand why he didn't connect with us. He's a celebrity, and he probably gets so much email. But yeah, so I was curious if you know of the boxer Richard Santiago. Yeah,
Yeah, I do. I do actually. I do
that's
know him.
oh nice.
So
So
I'll try to connect you with him.
oh okay, awesome. That
Yeah.
would be great. Thank you so much. That would be
Sure.
great. I would love to sit and chat with him about that. So anything that I did not mention that you would like to mention at this time?
Listen, no, man. I just want to go back to what I told you in the beginning. If you ever want to make it down to Puerto Rico, you have a brother here. You have a place to stay. I would love to meet you in person. I think you're doing a good job. Anything I can
Thank
help
you.
you out with from over here, then you can count on me, and that's it, man. I think everything that needed to be said was said.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. And yeah, my son has not seen Puerto Rico, so maybe I'll take you up on that offer.
You
My
got it.
son, 16, he has not seen Puerto Rico. So I thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for talking with me. I've learned that you and I have a lot in common. A lot.
A
I
lot more than
really
we
do.
thought, than you thought. I've been looking up on you, so a lot more
Yeah.
than you thought.
Thank, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I can't believe it. I thank you so much. If you're ever doing a piece or if you're ever doing something, please come on the show and talk with us about it.
Sure, man.
I would love to really sit down maybe one day on through virtually of course and sit down and kind of talk about your process and what you do and how you think
Cool.
before you approach a piece because That's very interesting.
That'd be cool,
But
man. I love
I
your
thank you
haircut, by
so
the
much.
way.
Oh yeah,
Another
same
thing,
style as yours. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a few years on you though. You say you're turning 50, right?
I'm
I'm
49.
54, so I got a few more years.
Uh,
49. Okay. So yeah. What is it? What is age, right? But I thank you so much, Richard Santiago, for being my co-host on the show. I really appreciate it. And keep doing great things, man. Keep doing great things.
Same to you, man. You take it
So,
easy. It's a pleasure.
yes, sir. Same to you.
Take it easy,
Mucho
man.
gusto. All right. So that's going to do it for us on Live Feed with your host, Richard Santiago. Live Feed is brought to you by Traveling Tech Teacher. And that I just dropped my, that's horrible, right? I just dropped my line. So let me start that again. Live Feed is brought to you by Traveling Tech Teacher. For all your digital resources, check out travelingtechteacher.com. Also brought to you by thebullyexposed.com. Please sure to please follow Richard Santiago. Check out his site. Uh, Let me see. I know, bad host. What a bad host I am. Uh, Diego, DiagoFineArts.com. Check out DiagoFineArts.com. And remember that anyone can wear the crown. Anyone can be a hero. Be kind.